We have waited. We have been patient, kind of. Maybe we've been patient. I can't speak for everybody, but it is finally here, the start of the 2021 NFL regular season. I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel, and I'm joined by a sport-jacketed Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence, you look very nice today. Thank you very much for dressing up for the part. What are we wearing? Valentino or Christian Dior? What label have we got on?
J.C. Penney.
J.C. Penney. Got it. J.C. Penney. And what is the artwork? Last week, you were sitting in a room that had the Negro League, Baseball League behind you. What's behind us there in your?
Just kind of a black theme struggle, African American struggle.
Gotcha.
Piece.
Well, as you can see,
rising up.
Well, I'm not going to use that for a really awkward transition. I've got a Raiders of the Lost Ark poster. It's my favorite movie. But we will transition now to the start of the 2021 NFL season. Thursday night in Tampa. Finally, it's here. Dallas Cowboys will play the defending Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers on an NBC prime time telecast. I have not bothered to look at the point spread because, quite frankly, the thought of it makes eight points. Okay.
The largest point spread of the opening weekend.
Kind of glad I didn't look at that one. All eyes on Dak Prescott because we have not seen him play in an NFL game, fake or real, since he destroyed his ankle on October 11th of last season. Clarence, what do you expect? What should we expect in Dak's first performance since that horrible game?
I expect Dak to be Dak. I mean, I don't see there will be not any limitations as far as the injury. No limitation with the ankle, no limitations as far as the shoulder. The playbook is wide open. Dak says he's going to try to start fast. You know, Dr. Jerry Jones said Dak has been sharp and crisp in workouts. No rust. No rust in the arm. So the issues with the Cowboys offense won't be about Dak Prescott. He should be fine. There are other reasons why you have some concerns against the Tampa Bay defense, but it won't be Dak Prescott's health. 100% ready to go. First live action since October 11th last year.
Not buying it. He hadn't played a game since October 11th last year. There's going to be some inefficiency on his part. It's going to take him a little while.
I mean, Tom Brady hasn't played since the Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
Did Tom Brady destroy his ankle? Did Tom Brady have to have two surgeries?
He had knee surgery.
Okay, I'm not worried about Tom Brady. I'm worried about the only reason I'm worried about Tom Brady is that he's like 87 years old. And my other big concern for the Cowboys as it relates to Dak Prescott is the best player on that team. And I'm talking about all-pro guard Zack Martin, who has already failed a COVID test. And right now, barring a miracle, which would mean a whole lot of past COVID tests, he will not play on Thursday night against maybe the best pass rush or second best pass rush in the NFC behind Washington. I'm sorry, but this is a massive loss. How do they get over this?
Well, Dr. Jerry Jones has some wiggle room. He's got a little wiggle room. He's still.
What's the wiggle room on a flunk COVID test? You go buy one of those vaccination cards and say you passed it?
He has to pass 2 COVID tests before Wednesday, because presumably before Thursday. Mike McCarthy told us that there's a chance if anybody could do it, who could fly the day of the game and play, it will be Zack Martin. He doesn't expect him to play. But remember, Dr. Jerry Jones found a doctor in New York to get Jason Witten on the field with a ruptured spleen. He found one doctor in America who would give Jason Witten the go-ahead to play with a ruptured spleen.
Yeah, I remember that. So is he going to go?
Never say never with Dr. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, because as you said, Zack Martin, Ezekiel Elliott said it, he's the best player on the offense by what he does and his ability to play. He's better than Zeke as a guard. He's better than Dak Prescott.
He's the best player on the team,
Better than Amari Cooper. He's their best player on offense.
He's the best player on the team.
Yeah.
He's a 4-time All-Pro player. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame at some point. He's just that good. We saw how good he was last season when they moved him around. So you're going to tell me that Jerry Jones is going to fly to Sweden and find Dr. Sven, who will give him a clear COVID test?
I mean, he might go to Oklahoma and get that animal dewormer or whatever. What are we doing here? He cannot leave. He can't fly with COVID. He has to clearly pass the test before he can get on a plane. But if somehow he's able to do that, this is a long shot and no one's really counting on it. No one's holding out for this Hail Mary except Jerry Jones. It may be Zack Martin. Mike McCarthy does not believe he's going to play. But following NFL protocols, there's the slightest of slightest chances that he could pass 2 tests and fly down there day of the game.
Of all the injury areas that we saw that hit this team in 2011, the one that got the most attention and notoriety, obviously, is your starting quarterback in Dak Prescott. But close behind it should have been an offensive line that was ravaged by injuries. Talking about losing All-Pro Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick had retired, Lyle Collins was out for the season. They all had issues, and Zack Martin had his own issues, but he appeared to be 100% before this COVID situation. Now they're dealing with a situation where Lyle Collins is supposedly healthy, but Clarence, I've got to tell you, of all this Zack Martin thing just came out of left field. Lyle Collins' injury situation does not appear to be something that you can trust. They sound like he's going to play on Thursday night, but Clarence, do you trust that this is a guy who's going to be able to hold up and be reliable for a full 17-game regular season schedule?
And that's the question. You know, that's my thing about, I wouldn't rush Zack Martin. This is a long season, and I wouldn't put everything in game one. I don't think they're going to win game one if Zack Martin was there. But just talking to the Cowboys today, and again, this is Dr. McCarthy today. On
Everybody's a doctor.
Tuesday.
Everybody's a doctor.
Dr. McCarthy Tuesday said, Lyle Collins has practiced well the past 2 games, past 2 days. He's had no issues with the stingers. He said he's been cleared from the stingers. That's not a problem. It won't be a situation where he's playing through pain. Of course, Jerry Jones says it's all about pain threshold. If he can last and play through the pain, he'll be fine. I don't know who to believe. The bottom line is stingers, they just don't go away. I mean, there's something in your neck that's causing this stuff, and they just don't go away. So it's something to monitor. You're right. If there's any concern about this Cowboys offense, it's not Dak Prescott, it's not Ezekiel Elliott, it's not the receivers who's going to get most of the balls, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. It's the health of this offensive line. Everything starts up front for the Cowboys. They need this offensive line to be healthy. They won't have Zack Martin going against Ndamukong Suh and Vita V Thursday night. They're going to have a questionable Lyle Collins. All I say is run left. Don't run right. Dak, run left. Don't run right. That right side is going to have issues.
Tyron Smith is obviously left
tackle.
Left
and
tackle.
the great Connor Williams. The great
Connor Williams, out of the University of Texas. That's right. Clarence, what's the interior of this line look like? Because it wasn't that long ago. Now, I know NFL years should be measured in dog years, but it wasn't that long ago the Cowboys had the best offensive line in the NFL. Well, they don't now. Tyron Smith is a guy who's coming off of an ACL. He'd been battling back issues before then, but looked like still a very, very good player. Maybe not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago, but a good player. Hang on. Then they had Travis Frederick, an all-pro center, retires for health reasons before he turns 30, not something that they were expecting. Then they were moving around Connor Williams to play at center, even though in college he was a tackle. So we know what the tackles look like, even though that's not ideal because of a Lyle Collins Stinger situation. Now you don't have Zack Martin. So what's, at least on Thursday night, what is that interior line going to look like?
Well, that's the question. Tyler Biada is the center, second-year starter center. Connor McGovern will play right guard. He got some good reps last year. He started 8 games at guard last year and got better as the season went on. And certainly Connor Williams is going to be your left guard. So that's the question. It's the middle of that line that you're worried about. Because, again, I brought up Ndamukong Suh, the former Nebraska behemoth that threw Colt McCoy around like a rag doll at AT&T Stadium. You remember, and he likes to step on people. You don't want him stepping on Dak Prescott. So they have to do some things. I think the Cowboys will scheme, get the ball out quick. They're not going to have Dak hold the ball. They're going to get the ball out quick, certainly run around, certainly use the running game, use the edges to run the ball rather than up the middle to compensate that. But, yes, this offensive line, when healthy, is still among the best in the league because of Zach and Lyle and Tyron Smith, not because of the guys in the interior, but they need those guys to be healthy.
There was a game in Cincinnati last season, and to ask this one last question before we move on to another subject. There was a game last season in Cincinnati where the Cowboys had the ball inside the Bengals' 10-yard line, and they were not going to Zeke Elliott because he couldn't get the yardage. I went ahead and wrote, they don't trust that he can get that yard. Now, apparently, some members of his family weren't too happy with that opinion. Your opinion was it didn't have anything to do with Zeke. It had more to do with the fact that they didn't trust that offensive line. Do you think on Thursday night, given the matchups that we're going to see, will they trust that offensive line to give the ball to Zeke if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1? Are they going to have to get creative and overthink it?
Oh, I think they're going to do what's best for the team. I mean, let me be political.
That doesn't answer the question.
Yes, because listen to me, sir. Listen, you're thinking a 1-yard plunge. They can get the ball to Zeke on the edge. I mean, I think they're going to scheme it, and certainly they're going to call the play to their advantage. They're not going to run into a mismatch. So if that's what you're saying, they're not going to run into a Dominican Sue on 3rd and 1. It doesn't mean they don't trust.
No,
Zeke.
It doesn't mean that.
I think they will do some things on the edges to take advantage of those mismatches.
Okay, you're a confident man. It never ceases to be in
I didn't say it was going to be successful. I just said what the strategy would be. We're talking about strategy.
Speaking of successful or lack thereof, last season the Dallas Cowboys defense was one of the worst in the history of the NFL. Certainly one of the worst in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody's healthy, knock on wood. They are counting on a guy that everybody who's ever met him wants to see pull this off and be successful. And I'm talking about the guy who wears DeMarcus Ware and Charles Haley's number 94 and Randy Gregory. Clarence, can the Cowboys trust Randy Gregory? I don't think they can. I don't think they have any choice. I don't think they can. But until he proves otherwise, I don't see how you can trust this guy.
I don't really get your question because I don't.
Can you trust him that he's going to play and be reliable and produce for you? Trust.
I think that Randy Gregory is going to play 17 games and he's going to produce because his issues was not necessarily about production. It was about being available. The NFL has changed the rules. They've relaxed some things. Randy Gregory is going to be available and he's going to play and he's going to produce. But again, he is not the centerpiece of their success on defense.
No, but he's got to be a good player. He
does have to be a good player, but so does DeMarcus Lawrence. I
Absolutely.
think they're counting more on DeMarcus Lawrence becoming DeMarcus Lawrence again. They're counting more on Micah Parsons being a budding superstar as a rookie. This defense is Dan Quinn is going to be like the mad scientist scheming up ways to attack Micah Parsons and sick. A crazed dog. I always think about
Lawrence Taylor.
I think of Lawrence Taylor and talking, we got to attack him like some crazed dogs. Wow. That's what Micah Parsons is. They got really a dog on defense. They really haven't had a dog on defense in a long, long time. And they're going to unleash him. And he's going to rush from the edge. He's going to rush from the middle. He's going to play middle linebacker. He's going to run sideline to sideline. He is a playmaker, and they're going to unleash him. He's better than the Cowboys thought it was. It's funny because the Cowboys fell into him. They didn't.
You said they didn't want him.
They wanted a cornerback, and they fell into him because the cornerback is gone. And that's what happened to the Cowboys. They didn't want Dak Prescott. They fell into Dak Prescott. They wanted another guy. They really didn't know how good Tony Romo was. He's an undrafted free agent. They fell into him. So good things happen to the Cowboys sometimes when they get out of their way and let things fall to them. Same way we see them. They fell into Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons is going to be a very good player. My question with the defense is still the interior of the line.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And being able to stop the run.
Can't. Neville Gallimore was the best shot, and he's gone. I want to make sure that I have this right. Clarence E. Hill Jr. right here on Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com is saying that Micah Parsons is the next Lawrence Taylor. Clarence, of all the
not far off, buddy.
I like it. That's a good
defensive player.
Of all the guys,
defensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I've heard. You're not the first person that said that. Of all the guys that they're counting on that defense, what's the one that in your mind is like, dude, get over it? That is totally unrealistic.
Brown is safety. Okay. Brown at cornerback.
Brown at cornerback. Why? Why do you say that? Just not buying it?
Because they had hoped Boss Man Fat would win the starting job at left cornerback, their second round pick. He has not been good in training camp. He's actually hurt and not going to play in the first game. And they've had to settle for Brown starting opposite Trevon Diggs. I think my questions for this defense, and I like the safeties. I like the depth at linebacker. You can say what you will about Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. This linebacking core is deeper and more talented. It's been in a long time when you got the leading tacklers from the last few years as reserves. Okay. And so, but my question is cornerback, being able to cover a cornerback outside of Trevon Diggs. There's some questions who's going to be able to cover a cornerback.
I have no idea.
I think they're deeper at safety, but my questions are cornerback.
Okay. The one that I have the biggest concern for is not because he can't play, because he obviously can't play, is Leighton Vander Esch. There's a reason why they did not exercise the fifth year on his rookie contracts because they don't think he can stay healthy, and I don't think he can either. Okay, last subject we'll go over here on Cowboys Overtime before we wrap this up. It is time to get it on record, okay? It is prediction time. I have my predictions. I have a 13-year consecutive streak of going 100% accurate or something like that, I think. And this season, I'm going with the original 8-8-1. I want to explain this. When my editor, Otto Strong, and I talked about it, I originally said they were going to go 10-6-1, and I picked a tie because I thought law of averages says they're eventually going to have a tie. And with one extra game and overtime's only being 10 minutes, I'm like, they're going to get a tie. So I went with 10-6-1. And then we went to the entire schedule. I would go win, loss, win, whatever it was. I said, what is that? And he said 8-8-1. And I said, that's beautiful. They're going to go 8-8-1. And the best part is they're going to get a playoff because in this NFL, everyone gets a trophy. Clarence, give me a prediction, sir.
I have the Cowboys going 10-7. 10-7, winning the NFC East and certainly making the playoffs, winning a wild card game, losing in the division round because that's what they do. The Cowboys' schedule is relatively easy.
It is.
The schedule.
It is.
They have tough road games. The home games are easy. Certainly have the Cowboys starting off certainly with 2 losses, but it's gonna be a streaky season for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
they're gonna win those 3 home games, starting with the Eagles. Losing at the Patriots, they never beat Bill Belichick there. They're gonna get on a roll and I think salvage this thing to a 10-7 record. But you see, there's some streaks there. Got a 3-game winning streak and a 3-game losing streak, and end the season with a 3-game winning streak because the home schedule is manageable. The road schedule is tough when you play at the Saints and at the Chiefs and at the Patriots and certainly at Tampa Bay to start the season.
Is there any game on the schedule that you see they say, bro, if they lose that, that's a bad sign? Because you and I both agree. I think most people do. Nobody thinks they're going to open with a win on the road at Tampa or the Chargers to open the season.
Well, game 3.
Yeah, I think you're right.
If things go as we predict and they lose the first 2 games, that 3rd game is on Monday Night Football. An 0-2 Cowboys team. If they lose to the Eagles at home on Monday Night Football and go 0-3, Dallas will go crazy. ESPN will go crazy. First Take and Undisputed will go crazy. It's going to be crazy before the game just because it's the only thing in town that day, and everybody's going to be focused on this 0-2 Cowboys team with all these expectations, $160 million quarterback, Mike McCarthy's job on the line. All of this stuff is going to come to a head if they lose Game 3 against Philadelphia.
Not only that, it's not because the Chargers are going to be pretty good. Ultimately, they will disappoint you because they're the Chargers, but they look like they have a great young quarterback in Justin Hebert.
And a damn good defense.
You're right. They're really good. You're not going to beat Tampa on the road to start the season. You're just not. If you lose to that Eagles team, they're the worst team in the NFC. They look terrible. And if you lose to them, raise the white flag. It's all over. Clarence, I look forward to seeing you in Tampa for week 1. It should be a fun season. It's always fun to cover the Dallas Cowboys. Clarence has them going 10-7. I have them going 8-8-1. For all of your Dallas Cowboys and sports coverage, be sure to check us out at startelegram.com. Cowboys at Buccaneers Thursday night. I was close. They're only an 8-point underdog. See you next week.
Bet big on Tampa.